Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Riley, and in this video I'm going to be talking a little bit about food storage. Now, if you've been watching my channel, you already know that I'm really big into being prepared for emergencies, survival stuff, bug out bags, get home bags, all that kind of stuff. Now, I wanted to cover another topic in this video, which is long-term food storage. Now, I don't like thinking about, the worst or what can happen, but I think it's kind of foolish if you don't plan for the worst, They always talk about planning for the worst and hoping for the best, and I sincerely believe that's what you should do. But it's just been proven all around the world that there are things that can happen that can leave people stranded and leave people without food or water for long periods of time. Now, a get-home bag is useful to get back home. A bug-out bag is useful to live off of, have supplies for, a couple months or so, or a couple weeks. But what do you do if how do you prepare for something if you know it's going to be a longer amount of time? Like, what if you can't get help for a year, or what if it's 6 months? So you need to think to yourself, well, if the government can't help me, for a year, or if I'm stuck in some natural disaster or some emergency situation, which we hope doesn't happen, but it's very possible because, it's happened all over the world. Even in the U.S., there's been natural disasters that left people without food and other supplies. And obviously, there's organizations that go in to help a lot of times, but a lot of the times, that help takes a while to get there. So each person and family needs to be kind of dependent on their own in terms of having emergency food storage. So I think it's very important to have a food storage supply, whether it be for yourself if you live alone or for your entire family. Now, I'm not just talking a couple weeks, I'm talking, 6 months to a year of food storage. And emergency can be classified as, like a natural disaster, or, there's governments that have fallen before, in South America, and where people have gotten to the point where they can't even buy food because it's so expensive. I'm not saying that might happen here. It could happen in the United States too. You never know. But all I'm saying is, if you're prepared for something like that, then it makes it a lot easier to survive a situation like that. Or you can also define an emergency as something that a financial emergency. What if a family member needs some kind of medical operation, and you have to shell out money and you don't have any money left to buy food? That qualifies as an emergency. So you could also use your food storage in that case. So we're talking financial emergencies, natural disasters, a government shutdown, what have you, an epidemic. There's tons of situations that you could use long-term food storage for. There's lots of different ways. I'm not promoting any company or brand of food storage. I'm just saying that you should definitely have food storage. Now, for me, pretty soon I'm going to be living pretty much on my own. So I have enough food storage for me, and I calculated I have enough food storage for myself for about 8 months to a year. 8 months a year if I really only eat small meals, 8 months if I eat like I normally do, But basically, with the amount of food storage that I have personally for myself, I can survive a year on comfortably, I believe, So obviously the foods might not be as tasty and as delicious as, you're used to, but if you can get over that fact and get used to kind of eating plain, generic foods just to get by, then food storage won't be that bad for you. So let me show you an example of something that I have here. So I have, here is a, I forgot what number can these are. Anyways, here is a 3-pound can of pasta, macaroni that you can cook. This is 3 pounds, and I have 2, 4, 6, I have 10 of these. And that's just one of the ingredients I have, or one of the sources of food I have. So 10 times 3 is 30 pounds. So I have 30 pounds of macaroni, and that's just one of the things I have. And if that's going to last a long time, especially if it's just for me, because I will be on my own. So yeah, so this is has a 30-year shelf life, and it's 3 pounds of macaroni that you can cook simply with water. And the serving size is 200 calories. Half a cup is 200 calories. And we're looking at 7 grams of protein. And let's see here. 200 calories. And there's about 24 servings of macaroni inside of this can. And the best thing about this is that, let's see, the shelf life is 30 years on this thing here. So, obviously it's airtight and it's sealed. And so the only thing that you really need to cook this with is water and a source of heat, obviously. But this can here will last 30 years if it's not opened. And even if you open it, I'm sure it'll still last a long time. So it says here the storage life is estimated to be 30 years when stored at 75 degrees Fahrenheit or lower. And it just gives you tips on how to cook it, Add 2 quarts of boiling water with a teaspoon of salt. Cook uncovered 7 to 8 minutes and then drain. So super simple. Here I just have another one. And like I said, I have 10 of those. And they're 3 pounds each, which means I have 30 pounds of macaroni. Now that's not including the rice, the black beans, pinto beans, other spaghetti, oats, the other type of, sorry, I lost my train of thought. The other type of food storage that I have. So like I was saying, I have rice, black beans, pinto beans, spaghetti, oatmeal, a cookie mixture, drink mix. Basically food that can last me a long time. And, say I have around 30 pounds of each of those types of food, that's going to last you a long time. 30 pounds of rice, 30 pounds of oats, 30 pounds of, black beans. And, that stuff, just simple black beans and rice has enough nutrients in those foods to keep you going. And those are basically, the basics. Now it's all good that I have all this food here, all this emergency food storage, but it doesn't mean anything unless I have water and a means of cooking it with. So obviously you can build a fire to cook it with, or you can have some kind of propane, something to heat the water up with. But the whole idea is that you need to have water. So you either need to have a good filtration system, or have a well, or have, huge gallon drums of water storage. Or you need to have, or if you live by a lake, like a river or some flowing water, you can obviously filter that water and drink it. But the whole idea is you don't want to be caught with all this food and have no water to drink or cook it with, because then you would still go hungry because you cannot eat this food dry. I mean, I guess you could, but it would be terrible. So guys, I hope you enjoyed my video. Like I said, we need to plan for the worst and hope for the best. We need to be prepared. We need to be self-sufficient. We need to be able to support ourselves, so in case something bad does happen, And like I said, we're hoping nothing bad ever happens, but the reality of living in this world is that sometimes things don't go according to plan, and you need something to fall back on. So my challenge is to everyone that watches this video, I would like you to get at least 1 year's supply of food storage tucked away in your house, apartment, wherever you live. Even if you just rent a room somewhere, you could probably just put it up in your closet or something. And there's ways of going about this that you don't need a lot of money. I mean, if you go to a simple grocery store and look for the bulk food items, you can simply, you don't have to buy it all at once. 1 week you can go buy 10 pounds of rice. The next week you can go buy, 10 pounds of beans. And, I'm not sure on the pricing of all that. Maybe it's like $20 or something. But you can slowly build up your food storage. And another thing is, if you buy something like this that's already pre-vacuumed, pre-sealed, part of what you're paying for is the shelf life. So make sure, some people might want to buy dehydrated food. Some people might want to buy food that's sealed in these cans, like I did. It's all up to you, but obviously I would go with the route of the food that lasts the longest, which might be a little more expensive, but in the long run, having food that lasts 30 years versus food that only lasts a year or two is going to be a lot better, because just because a disaster might happen 10 years from now, and you'll still have this food, it won't be bad. So that's the cool thing about having this vacuum sealed, air dried food stored in these cans. I think these are called number 10 cans or something like that. But that's the good thing about having those. And anyways, like I said, be prepared, be safe, and be self-sufficient so that you don't have to rely on anyone else. Or if there's no one else to rely on, you have something to eat. Because in the long run, in all these doomsday or apocalypse scenarios, the one thing that, drives people crazy is the lack of food. If you don't have food, you won't be happy. And that's proven, Basic necessities like food, water, sleep are essential to feeling good. If someone doesn't have food, their anxiety is gonna start raising. They're gonna start being on edge because they're gonna be in the fight or flight mode because they don't have anything to eat. So you need to be prepared for the worst and hope for the best. That's it, guys. I hope you liked this video, and I will see you next week.